Um, and we really appreciate you making time for this week. It's a crazy week with a lot going on. And we know there are a lot of demands for your time and your energy. And so we appreciate all of you. And we want to try and give you some good stuff during this first hour from the track team and from all of you. And then our second hour, Mindy will be on here and help us more with how do we tell the story, right? Like the first time she gave us some things about op-eds, and then in our follow-up from that, we said those were good. Let's make it even broader. Can you tell us how to just write a comment on LinkedIn things? How can we write a post? How can we write a news bit that just catches people's attention and speaks with authority and with intelligence and with the knowledge that we all have? So she's going to come back on with that the second half of today. And so I encourage you to just dive in. Like if we can leave with something already written and put it out there, that's great. And also, we talked about if one person writes something, the others of us can like reuse it. Reuse it. Say it's our regional coalition's opinion and sign your own name and put your own county and reuse it. She's going to actually ghostwrite a couple of things for us that we can then sign and put out because if it comes from multiple places, but it's your local people, it really gives it some authority and some authenticity. And so we're all tired. I'm tired, but I'm hoping that second hour we can really try and use some of what she has for us. So, hello, everybody. Lots of familiar faces here, but for anyone new to the team, I'm Jerry McCorkle. I'm the program manager of Track. I'm going to invite you all to introduce yourselves as well. But there's so much negativity going on right now. So in our intros, we said, what's your passion? What's your niche area? What's your skill that can drive your impact? So we can't change the world. What do you have that you can offer and say, well, I'm kind of good at this? And there's not a lot of us, but we'll still go through that so that we can just connect for a minute. And if you have anything else you want to share in terms of updates, feel free to do those at this point, or as always, anytime in there. Um, I'll go across my screen because that's an easy way to keep people up to do that. Jennifer, Lucinda, and Liz, you're my first three. So if you three want to go first, just a quick introduction, any updates if you want. But what do you have that you're like, I can't change everything, but I've got this that I'll bring to the table?
Consulting, and I'll share my updates later during the presentation. But my superpower is really connecting people and organizations with each other. That's something I do really well. And that was the first thing that came to my mind.
Lucinda here. My passion would probably, even though I get frustrated and overwhelmed with the craziness of the world, I have a tendency of digging my heels in and not letting people tell me what I can and can't do. So, and then I can get things done that way, and I just focus on the here and now and not worry about what is changing, what I can't change, just worry about what's right in front of me.
Hi, I'm Liz Richards. I'm a preschool director for Mrs. Sinawal Community Schools. And I would say if I was kind of thinking about this, like, what do I really like the big behaviors, but why do I like the big behaviors? And I think because I like connecting with anybody, but I also like, it's like a pattern recognition thing. Like you kind of learn what people like or how to connect with people in a different way. And I think that maybe is mine.
Pat, Leanne, Teresa would be my next three.
Okay, so thanks to Teresa, I had an opportunity to address, wasn't it 678 people many
678 people. Yes, ma'am.
who were who are business folks connected to the chamber. So I had to give this speech, and there were two sentences that I keep hearing come back to me. So I think maybe my superpower is finding the right words at the right time. The two sentences were this, and one was that we all have a responsibility to help kids thrive. And when kids thrive, our communities thrive and our businesses thrive. And we need to give voice to kids to to allow them to grow their confidence, competence. But the second thing I said that keeps coming back that was kind of interesting, the Search Institute says each kid needs 6 adults, caring adults, non-related to them, who pay attention to them. And so my tagline was, and somebody said I need to get t-shirts, go be someone's one of 6. So I guess my superpower may be finding words to share with folks about the power of what we do. Is that right, Teresa?
So just so everyone knows, we're sitting amongst royalty here. So I nominated Pat for the Art Vivian Excellence in Leadership Award through the Chamber for all of her work. It makes me want to cry. For all of her work across Wayne County for decades to make life better for tiny humans. And she won. So the first thing that she did when she got up there to speak was she told everybody to take their calendar out. She was like, you are not that busy. You can find an hour. Reach out to someone because these littles need help. So she was fantastic. I'm so thankful that she won. No one is more deserving. So
Great.
Well, it was quite quite humbling and
That's
overwhelming, but
Well deserved.
it
Yeah.
gave me a venue to talk to folks. And the other thing they keep remarking, I said, 90% of brain development, et cetera. And I could hear a gasp in the audience. Oh, really? Anyway, thanks to Teresa.
Leanne, if you've got connection, we'll let you go ahead and go. And if not, you can shake your head no or put it in the chat or something. And then Missy, Erica would be after that. She's frozen, so I'm going to guess maybe a no to Leanne. If she comes back on, we'll let her go then.
I'll go
Missy?
real quick. I think I
Okay.
didn't, because now Missy's gone.
Go, Teresa.
So I'm Teresa Lindsay. I'm the Business and Workforce Development Manager for the EDC of Wayne
Figure out how to
County.
turn my microphone on if I'm.
Well, there she is. Hi.
We can hear you, Missy.
And my thing is making connections, but for those that don't know, I'm going to show you this picture. So I spend 5 or 6 hours every Saturday volunteering at an animal rescue here in Wayne County because our animal situation over here is pretty horrid. So can everybody see this cat that's loving on me? 4 weeks ago on Sunday, this cat bit me. That cat bit me. And so now 4 weeks later with love and trying and talking to her and all the things, I got love the minute I got there on Sunday. So it's my reminder to myself that if we give the tiny humans nurturing and love and what they need, they will also be like this cat. So be like Polly. And so that's me.
Okay, can you hear me now? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm on my phone and I'm not used to doing Zoom on my phone. But anyway, I'm Missy. I'm the executive director of Muncie by 5. I think probably something that I enjoy and am good at is connecting things, not just people, but thinking about big ideas and then how do we put the pieces together to make them happen, like the Professional Learning Institute. How do we bring in the right people and the right things to make learning appropriate for our early childhood providers? So that's me, and I'm going to attempt to mute myself. So hopefully it works.
I'm Erica Marlatt with Rush County First Five, the Early Learning Coalition. And I'd say one of my superpowers is like design work. So I've been working on different like resources to pass out in the community and stuff recently.
Natalie says she is helping supervise some things. She put hers in the chat, and she said her passion is meeting and connecting the children, families, and communities we serve. I would also say Natalie's superpower is showing up. She shows up to everything and doesn't just sit there, right? Has something to offer every time and everywhere, and I love that. And then Wendy, I haven't seen you yet, but hopefully you're on and can go last unless I've missed anybody.
Leanne.
Oh, okay. She is back and unfrozen. Leanne says, I think out of the box. I want providers to be sustainable, always trying to think of more ways to help them and trying to keep anyone from closing. Love it. Okay. If Wendy comes on, we'll let her jump in there and go. And again, that was just bringing us all together. I'm glad to see you all today.
So what's your superpower?
I've been asking myself that a lot lately. I don't have a clue. But I keep showing up, so hopefully that counts for something.
Wendy put in the chat, she's quick on her feet and adaptable.
I would agree with both of those things. Awesome. Okay. Next up, Stacy Wheeler isn't on here, but I want to give big props to Stacy Wheeler for helping us connect, helping to share the track and the regional early learning story on social media. And so hopefully you've seen this and heard this, but this is what all of you created. And it sounded like this.
Did you turn the sound on?
No sound?
No.
Darn it, that's the part you're supposed to hear. You don't need to see
Turn
my
the
face.
sound on your computer. I mean, hit the sound button on the link.
I don't see it.
Up in the far corner,
The top
hit the
left.
play,
Top left.
and then make sure that sound is clicked.
Go on the picture.
Oh, there?
Yeah.
That sounds,
Unmute. There you go.
yeah.
Now hit the play button.
Well, did you hear anything?
Uh-uh.
Oh,
Well, okay.
you have to, when you share, you have to share with sound.
I'm so sorry. I thought I was so ready with this. I had it heat up, ready to go. Share sound options, share sound.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jerry McCorkle from Track for Early Learning.
Okay,
And we
Jerry.
work in partnership with Classroom Connections of East Central Indiana to support early learning professionals and educators. Great child care providers spend their time reading and singing with children, giving them lots of playtime and very little screen time, and they help children handle those big emotions. That person is a trained professional and wants the best for young children, just like you do. Early childhood educators equip your children with the skills they'll need to be successful when they enter school. Access to high-quality early learning environments leaves a lasting legacy. It prepares our kids and our community for success. Hi.
Well done.
So that was what you all came up with a few tweaks by Stacy, but really grateful for her to give us that opportunity and to get that out on the radio. She did get contacted by Facebook to say that it was viewed by over 1,000 people within 24 hours on Facebook, as well as having it been on the radio. So we're trying to get the word out there. And so, listen, y'all know how to write a good story. So we wrote it for that. Let's write it again with the other ways as well. So thank you all for that. And pass that thanks on to Stacy any chance you get.
Right. Jerry, make sure you send us the script. I couldn't write fast enough.
All right, well, you can go on Facebook and listen to it there, and then just
I
you've got it
did.
from there too.
Well, I'm wondering if, since we're recording this message, it might pick it up in the transcript and I can send it to you.
Because it is slightly different than the one we wrote together. So, okay, we'll do that. Okay. Lucinda, I'm going to pass it over to you for RAS updates. Again, 2 positives in a row early on. Let's keep this rolling.
Yep. So I've been, for the last few weeks, I've been working on getting quotes and verifying information from all the 17 winners from the RAS. So far, I could update the list now. I have 2 fully completed, and both of them are in Rush. So I've been trying to work on counties to complete as I go. So there's been, which is nice, is a lot of it's been playground equipment and larger items, and trying to navigate the Ball State system to get everything into the system as vendors, and getting permission to use the credit card for large amounts. Has been a little bit of a challenge, but I called the purchasing director and said, hey, this is what's happening. What can I do? And they gave me permission to up the credit card limit for last month, so I may have to do it again this month. So that's moving smoothly. If you looked down at the bottom of the agenda, there's a list of all the trainings that is happening in the next few months. The Safe Center that's in March for Wayne County has been actually official now. So it will be the 28th on a Saturday. I just created the flyer and created the registry for it and sent it to the instructor. So it's on our Facebook page if you know anyone that wants to register for it. And if we have enough people, we might be able to do a second class, but right now it's capped at 8. So share with the Wayne County area. And Firefly was courteous enough to provide lunch for the student and the instructors.
Nice. Can you send me the flyer on that, Lucinda? And I'll have our marketing person get it out on our Home and Wayne social media.
Okay.
Thank
I can
you.
do that.
And share with like your middle school friends, Teresa.
Hey, you.
Hi, sorry, I know.
Yeah, we had to change the agenda a little bit because Ashley had a back-to-back meeting and she was afraid she wouldn't get here in time. So we all swapped around, which that's how a good team works. Now Ashley's up.
Hello, welcome. I have created some wonderful slides to share. Advocacy is where I think a lot of the focus is. I think that's where people are feeling where they're going to be able to make some differences, which is great, but also nerve-wracking because I don't know who's listening to all of the sense that's being had of those who are living this every day. So we as a team, we're trying to do a better job of what's coming down the pike in order to help people advocate for the right things. So watch the OE Castle FSSA update on Friday. You can watch that yourself. There was a very similar presentation given at ELAC this morning. I think the ELAC one was better. If you're going to watch one, I would say ELAC because there were questions asked. Whereas in the OE Castle meeting, it's just a report out and yeah, no challenging of thought processes in what's presented. So ELAC was this morning, it got cut off and then I had to leave for my meeting. So on the agenda at the OE Castle meeting last week, they had, so the CCDF block grant comes from the federal government through Health and Human Services, and they have a rulemaking opportunity. It ends today on how those grants will be put out there. So if you have enough time and have thoughts, feel free to do that. But again, that is today. ELAC was this morning. Missy, I think you were going in real life, so you may have better updates than when the world ended on our end technology-wise. You're muted. She's like, I know I hit the button. I saw her. Hello.
Sorry, I had to have my daughter come and help me. I'm that old. Um, one thing I was really encouraged about with the ELAC meeting this morning are the faces around the table. I didn't realize they haven't met for 7 months. Sam Snyderman with United Way is the chaired the meeting this morning. I'm assuming he's going to continue to do that. He is a huge proponent of early childhood and does a lot of things at the State House on our behalf. Also on the committee was Allie Sutherland, who is the leader of the Hoosier Milestones group from northeastern Indiana, Fort Wayne. She is one of the committee members. And then Jennifer Myers from the Uplands. It used to be Monroe Smart Start. Now it's Upland Smart Start because they were one county. Now they're regional. She's on the committee. Leanne Kwiatkowski, who used to be the superintendent at MCS or whatever they called her, CEO, thank you, is on there too. She has an extensive background in early childhood. So the faces in the crowd or at the table were really, really encouraging. And, whether you like him or not, Adam has a hard job to do. And I think he did a good job today of explaining why things have changed as well as last Friday. So if you get a chance, be sure to listen to that. But that's really all I have otherwise.
Yeah, I was surprised to see Leanne on there. I don't think I caught that, but I did know online she's not a voting member. But it's a lot of touches to East Central Indiana for sure that we have. So that's great. We need all the friends that we can get. Lucinda, am I allowed to screen share?
Yeah.
I took some slides and things that
You should be co-host, so you should be able to share.
I just
Missy, I was going to ask you while Ashley is bringing hers up. Did they say, are they going to add sound to it and put that back out since the people watching online missed so much of it because we lost the human portion of it? All we could see was the slides.
Well, what I saw happening in the room was a lady walked up to the control center, whatever, for the video audio. And then she walked back and another lady walked up there and she left the room. And then a young man came in and did something. And by that time it was over. So I don't know. If you have specific questions about what you didn't hear but saw, I can try to help answer. Em and I were both there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And not to that point, but I thought for those who might want to go back and watch it, I thought maybe they would find a way to do it.
Yeah, I hate that it was cut out for you all, but yeah.
So positives, I think, from the OA Castle update were that, they're just saying, we have this money for CCDF on Miami Pre-K. Our job is to make sure we're spending it well. And I think Adam does a great job of making it very clear that's his job. But they have been awarded a $14.8 million federal grant that will be used for a referral slots pilot program. Not really sure what that means, but the target is on infants and toddlers. Again, they did not have any further details even in the ELAC meeting today, other than to say we're doing this. And then they're partnering with IEDC on some things that I know within TRAC we have tried to do, which is childcare business supports, and that's connecting with ISBDC. Our limitation thus far has been, they typically only work with for-profit, so perhaps working with IEDC, they'll be able to navigate around some of those legalities. And then they're planning to expand the micro facility pilot program. That's when the ELAC meeting went out today, is when they were talking about micro facilities. So even based on the numbers they showed on the screen, those are not full and at capacity, but their funding model seems to be different. It's $190 a flat rate per kid, no matter the age. So I did not have enough time or thought process on how to figure out, is that a good average for all ages? So I'm sure more of that to come. And a lot of the work they're trying to do is just supporting the providers with the toolkits and how to access different resources. Things that I feel like our region has done a good job of connecting our providers to. So that's some positives there. For our friends in the world, they're doing some rule reform. Again, this is the gist of what they provided, nothing beyond that. So I'm assuming more will be coming, but rule changes, I assume, is code for deregulation and less strict enforcement of rules.
That is correct.
I'm trying to be very positive, Teresa, because
I'm
it's not going
being
to be.
positive too. I'm saying you are correct in your assessment of that.
So they showed this historical data. I've always liked this slide. You can see this yellow line here on the right graph is where vouchers froze, and you can see enrollment has dropped drastically. As I predicted, the left chart, which is supply, is now starting to mirror that. And this chart here shows that on vouchers that we're down quite a few, and the wait list is less than 10,000 off of what we fund. So the need is nearly twice of what we can fund as a state. So none of that makes you feel good and warm and fuzzy and things. This is just showing that our home providers are really being the ones hit the most with the lack of CCDF vouchers, but they mentioned ministries are starting to see that. So the YOY is year over year change. And you can see where ministries there at the bottom, they've been seeing it for a little bit longer than the centers. And I would say, to me, these numbers are inflated, obviously, but because we know we have providers who've closed rooms. So while they technically have licensed capacity, they don't have the staff to do that. They don't have people paying for it. So the number of seats, this is not the reality that we don't know that we're living in. They shared that this is the fiscal year spending state by state. You can see all of the green is COVID dollars. We're not getting any more of those. The bottom blue is state general fund. That's what the state has typically funded. You can see that there has been an increase over time. I'm assuming that's tied to those COVID dollars where they had to, but he didn't say that. Yellow is the one-time funding from TANF in order to supplement the existing vouchers. And then a little bit in fiscal year 25 and a lot in 26 is that hold harmless funds, which is 147 million from the state that they have allocated to maintain the vouchers where they are. My concern, and it was never talked about, is this gap looking at next year. It's nearly like $200 million. So while we have hope with SB4, my concern is that that's how they're going to maybe continue to hold harmless moving into next year. So when we originally heard about SB4, I'll get there, we thought it would be to open up the wait list. Looking at this and putting two and two together, it's probably more of how do we limit the impact of this gap. So I think it's important for us as a coalition, as providers, as people who care about small humans, how can we be thinking of solutions that we can provide to the state on how to make childcare more sustainable, whether that's, I don't even want to pretend to know anything that's going to solve any of this, but how can we help be a part of the solution? I think the OECOSL people are aware that people are upset with where we are. It's not making us more friends. So it's how can we try to innovate and pivot in a way that's going to help us be able to help them see why they should invest. I don't think, even looking at projections, that the state's going to have another 150 million to put towards this, and it would be 300 million over the biennium. So we have to, I think, somehow be more positive. So when you look at legislation,
Hey, Ash,
yeah,
just remember, everybody on this call, remember you have a ton of seats in both the states and the reps that are up this year. We have two of them in Wayne County that are, and we got people all over the place. So I would encourage that you beat the doors of those that are running, because if you get the right person, that's where you're going to drive the change. Beating the drum at the state house with the current sitting people has gotten us to where we are. So just remember that when we're talking to Mindy and thinking about the things that she's going to gear us to, because those that are there have led us to this, and they're not talking about that gap. You have to think forward to those that have until Friday at 5 o'clock to sign on the dotted line to say, I'm running. And we got a whole handful over here in Wayne County that are signing up. So, and we have it across the state. So we really, I think we've got to be cognizant of that and who's running, because if we're going to try to affect change, I think that's where we have to go.
I would not disagree with what Teresa said, but I cannot endorse it either. So for those who don't know, like bills have passed from one side of the legislature to the other. The deadline was Monday of this week for the House and last week for the Senate. Um, to Teresa's point, I think a lot of great bills were introduced by Democrats who are powerless in the supermajority. So those bills don't even get a hearing to see how valid those things can be. So I think the supermajority is causing some different issues and making some people's elected officials pretty powerless. So as much as Sue Arrington is mine and she's a Democrat, as much as I could talk to her about it, unless the Republican leadership feels the need to take her bill out for a reading, it's just not going to happen. The Indianapolis Fedora, I forget his first name. It starts with Q. He did a lot of great things trying to propose for childcare. And I think it gives us hope, but also the reality is that it's not going to go anywhere. So we're really down to just a few bills. I think that we're watching House Bill 1149, which will allow for childcare scholarship granting organizations. We don't currently have those for childcare. They're in the K through 12 system for like private schools. People can donate as a tax write-off. There are limits to what those could be. House Bill 1177 ties to a tax credit. The limit from the state does not look like it's going to change. It will still be the same number the state's willing to go to essentially lose for people as a tax write-off. But the amount per business, I think, goes up a bit. I'd have to check my notes on that. But SB4, I think, is something that nobody saw coming. And it's kind of where I think a lot of the momentum is SB4. And that is tied to a various matters fiscal bill that has lots of different things, but it essentially ties to a fund from the state that they put in the last biennium budget of $300 million, something growth and opportunity fund. I cannot find anywhere how much money has already been spent out of that fund. There is no budget update that I've been successful in finding. DCS, Department of Corrections, I think one other organization are already per statute allowed to spend out of that fund. So I'm not sure if we're looking at 150 million, that's half of the fund that would need to go to vouchers. I mean, that's another year of hold harmless. So I don't know if it's realistic to think that half of that. My guess is there will be limited in 2027 at best vouchers that go out. And that'll be once kindergartners go back. So I think another year probably based on where we are with the budget. But something concerning with SB4, in the Indiana chamber, they send out a Friday newsletter. This bolded part, Senator Mishler, he's the one who introduced this and it was accepted. It moved over to the House. But he said it's a temporary solution, but they're looking at CCDF in 2027, which is great. The second sentence is very scary, is he advised that solutions will be costly and tough decisions will need to be made. I feel like a lot of tough decisions have been made for us. And I don't know, I don't want to ask the question, but know that this is what he is out there saying to our Indiana Chamber representatives. So we really need to, I think, focus on how do we tell the story in a way that's going to resonate with these people to see that we're worth the investment. And unfortunately, nothing that we've tried up till now, I don't think is telling the whole story for them to see it. So, Missy, I know you guys are doing a lot with advocacy. Liz, you're doing stuff with INAUIC. Do you guys have anything else to add beyond any of that? It's hard right now.
Just Senate Bill 4, they did talk a lot about that today. And from what I understood that Adam was saying, it's a $300 million fund that was set aside at the beginning of this last biennium. And because they knew there would be expenses in those categories. So what they're doing today at 1:30, I don't even know what time it is, but probably right now, they're hearing it to decide if they want to open that fund up to include CCDF childcare funding. So Ashley, you said you couldn't find anywhere where any of it has been spent. I don't think any of that 300 million has been spent yet.
Okay.
But they're looking to add us, childcare, into that category at this point. The one about the tax breaks, it does allow for TIF districts to use TIF money to build childcare. I was involved in that when in my earlier days at the chamber, but it's basically money that this entity, city, county collects, and then they use it for infrastructure and things like that. So they're starting to have language that childcare is infrastructure. So that was encouraging to hear them talking about that bill today as well. And that's all I have. I don't know, Liz, do you have any more?
I don't have any. That was beautiful. You said that beautifully. That's that's pretty much all we know too. And you were talking about how it hit the homes and then it started to hit the ministries. And it's so true because even though we're a school, we were self-sustaining this year. Like this was our first year to be like, okay, title can be used for other programs. Things can we don't need, well. And now there is no title because schools are having their own issues. So
Right.
it's one of those things that I didn't have our parents this year that when CCDF may have been taken away or cut, they maintained that scholarship just in-house because we had a little bit of a threshold because like squirrels, we held on to it. Well, next year, we're having to raise our prices. We're having to limit scholarships, if any, in addition to, like it's very limited. And that's even with a school. So I think I have been getting some reaction by that. And I don't know why they're just now reacting to that versus any, I mean, but there is a reaction, I feel like, which is more than I've ever experienced. So I think we're getting somewhere. I think this is creating momentum. I think it really is working.
Good. We'll need to piggyback on that for the next 9 months. Because right now is when we need to be starting what's happening in the next session, when I think there could be some real change. Teresa, I will look at you for the TIF expertise. Does that seem like a feasible
It
solution?
is. I can. So this is a safe place. Just remember that, people. So I will lie if someone says this came out of my mouth. So TIF is mandated by your city and county commissioners to create TIF districts for infrastructure. So in Wayne County, our TIF districts are typically for manufacturing so that we have funds for road upgrades to be able to get to our farm ground in the Midwest Industrial Park so that we can upgrade the roads. As everyone on this call knows, this current sitting administration has been very good about taking things from cutting the state and putting it on the locals to find the difference. And everyone is aware of that. So once again, they're saying, oh, yes, you can use your TIF dollars. You can create a TIF district to build a childcare. I can tell you right now, and Pat will agree with me, there's not one commissioner sitting in Wayne County right now or on Richmond City Council that is going to use one TIF dollar to build a childcare facility, because I do not have road upgrades that I need at my Midwest Industrial Park so I can market that ground. There are no sidewalks out there. The buses can't get out there. So when you create that, I feel like it's a way for them to say, yes, we're gifting you this. You can create a TIF district to build a childcare. So then when your local says, we absolutely cannot do that because we are creating a TIF district to build this 150, and I have a perfect example. I have $115 million fermentation plant being built that's creating 50 jobs. That's where my TIF dollars are going. And that's where my commissioners are giving that TIF dollars to, because that organization is going to employ 50 people that are making a $35, $45, $50 an hour wage, living here, paying property taxes, paying income tax, all the things. When you build a child care, if you build one, it would have to be a for-profit. There's no way it can get a TIF if it's not a for-profit entity. And what is that entity going to pay? You cannot get a tax abatement from the city of Richmond unless your minimum entry level role is $19.50 an hour. So I believe it's just a move to help the heat from
And say we're trying to
everybody,
do something and we're giving people options, but the
yes,
reality is it's really not an option.
correct. Just
And I
like
would, and
the
like
property
tips,
tax thing.
yeah,
You know, we're cutting property tax, but we didn't say that's going to encourage every one of the 92 counties is now going to have to implement some kind of lit to make up for that shortfall, because you cannot have the public services without it. So it's a shift of the money. It's a shift of who's not giving you the money. So this is a state saying we're going to let them. You can use it. You can create a TIF district to build a childcare. There's not a sitting elected official anywhere in the county I sit in is there, Pat, going to sign off to use TIF funds to build a childcare. That's not going to happen. I hate to be the
I was just
naysayer, but I
excited
try to
that they
be.
started talking.
I guarantee they're talking because they're getting so much pushback from people. So they're trying to figure out what can we say to help that's going to keep us, because once again, we're in an election year.
and
Yeah.
and I would say Ivy Tech is also in the conversation on how to use TIF dollars.
Correct.
And
Mhm.
a lot of TIF dollars are already guaranteed to a certain something when you set up the TIF. So I am happy that it's part of a conversation. I don't know how realistic it is of a solution, if that makes sense. So
I'm happy because it tells me that they've got smoke under their feet because everybody's over there banging the doors and
Right.
they've got to figure out something to say when they have no money. So at least it's becoming apparent that the child care conversation is not going to go away and these people are not going to stop talking about it. So I think it is going to create a better line of communication as we go into this next 3 months of election cycle and how that's going to look.
And I feel like TIFs, didn't the legislature do something where they limited how long you can have a TIF?
Mhm.
Like sunset them within 25 years or something?
Well, yeah, so it used to be, they're sunsetted now, but you also have to think about, the way they've changed it for personal property tax, that used to be $80,000. So it basically impacted your small mom and pop businesses and all of that. They upped that to $2 million. So if you're sitting on $2 million, so you're hitting some of the bigger businesses in smaller areas like ours that aren't going to be paying that money. So those funds are going to continue to dwindle. So there's that. TIF is I think it's a smoke and mirror comment because they're getting their feet are at the fire and they got to say something.
I want to add just one quick thing. As a school board member, TIF hurts because it takes property tax away from entities like a school board. So so it's, you rob Peter to pay Paul in the whole TIF district financing. So it's not a real given. It really hurts other entities that might need that. And I will remind you that it's infrastructure, not the ongoing general cost of running a business. So you would almost have to have a childcare that's already organized and just needs a place. So anyway, yeah, we digress.
Yes, sorry. But all of it matters, because if you don't understand all of how this is playing a role, you think it's a great solution. And I think we have to start having those hard conversations of what they're telling us versus what's the reality of how it can be implemented. And I think that they take for granted the fact that we can have those conversations and learn from each other and do those things because I don't think they have those conversations with each other to
Well,
fully
they
understand.
hope we don't have the conversations and
Right.
they don't know it.
Yes.
Yeah,
So yeah, I agree. I thought something that was interesting that would pertain to Mindy probably later is both in the OE COSL meeting and the ELAC meeting today, Adam Olson continues to say that CCDF is a pro-work program, that 90% or 94% of voucher recipients, their parents are working. If that's the verbiage that the state is using, I feel like it's something that we can probably lean into. And then there's a different note that I'm not going to go into. Yesterday, Governor Braun announced a council on fraud detection and prevention, so that we don't have a Minnesota-esque problem in Indiana. CCDF is on that list of things that they're going to be looking at. So as you work with providers, please make sure that they know what they're supposed to be doing for record keeping and all of those things so that, they don't have to take drastic measures or anything.
I guess they've already visited some programs and yeah.
So tomorrow is the day at the State House with INAYC, and I know we're going to have a good group going. Lucinda was kind enough on the agenda to link ParkWiz. That is my personal preferred parking solution. You can register in advance. Usually you get a discounted rate and you're guaranteed a parking spot when you get there. So that is linked there. If anybody's interested in carpooling, share with the class. And I think that was everything on my list. Jerry, Lucinda, did I do all my things?
Yes.
Yes. Does anybody have any questions? I think my hope is for our in-person meetings, we can be a bit more candid in some of our conversations that we have, and as we start to plan what our region's story should be with childcare. So nothing is a safe space in the interwebs right now.
I don't know that anybody's down at my end of the region, but I am going tomorrow. If anybody wants to ride with me or carpool, I'd be interested in doing that. But again, I'm kind of far south for a lot of you, but we will look forward to seeing everybody there tomorrow. My number, you should all have, it's in the signature to my email, but if anybody, there's a group or if people are missing, I encourage people to text, email, whatever, just so we can find each other and say the things. Lucinda has copies of all of the county one-pagers, and the regional information is on one side of those as well. And we'll bring those. If somebody specifically wants us to bring extra for your county to give to you to pass out as well, put that in the chat and we'll do that. But we'll bring several copies of each so that we've got them. Lucinda and I have to be a little carefuler about who we speak to. Ashley, we are gonna be good, but we can support you. So
He's already been in my office giving me a lecture.
That's why I work from home.
I get the
today.
lectures.
But we are happy to support, to go with you to workshop some wording if you've got a last minute opportunity that comes up or whatever. So we are definitely not the experts of the group, but are happy to be support systems to all of you who will be there and involved in that. I did have a couple of texts with Emma, who's at that hearing right now. She said the room was filling up. She's got a great view of Representative Prescott and Representative Roray, and they're speaking about Senate Bill 1 now. So she is watching and has said she would send Missy or I or somebody updates if we get any about the up to the minute information that's happening right
And
now.
both of those are legislators from our area, just as an FYI. So it's in committee today. Is that what I'm understanding?
As of right now, who all that's on here that is going to the State House tomorrow?
Are you high? I work for the EDC. I'm not stepping in that building. What's wrong with you?
We'll miss you.
Dude, I can't.
That
That's
way
a
we
hard
kind of
pass.
know who we can text and who we can't text.
Not me. I'll be thinking of you all.
I'll be hoping
So
you're
Liz
moving.
I'm
is
bringing my
going.
whole staff.
Okay.
That's awesome.
So
Anyone else? I didn't see hands.
we're excited.
Natalie put in the chat that she's unable to attend. She has a grant that she needs to spend down for her new space.
Missy, are you going?
I am.
I think
Mindy is going.
Mindy's going. Leanne, are you going?
Well, I will say I haven't made it the last 2 years, and I'm really going to try hard to make it this year. But I'll tell you, this is how dedicated I am. Is my grandson does not have childcare tomorrow because it's closed for this, and I said I couldn't keep him tomorrow because I'm going to this. So, I mean, if that's not dedication,
Bring him. Bring him with you.
logistically, that's a little harder than I.
He'll go up there tonight.
Okay, thanks. Let me put that on my travel. I'm sure Ball State will approve that.
They will not. I wanted to put it on everyone's radar. Wendy put in the chat that she's already had CCDF investigators visit all of their programs. They were there for like 15 minutes, it looks like. just to make sure people were there. So just know that it's already happening to our people. So I'm sure it's happening to not our people.
Who said this?
Wendy in the chat.
Oh, okay.
I assume Wendy and Danny, aren't they speaking tomorrow at INAYC? So they'll be down there as well.
I know Danny is. I wasn't sure about Wendy.
I guess in my brain they're always together. So
I did see Danny's name on there.
and
And
Leanne's also working on grants.
I'm speaking for public schools. I think she wanted to get a different type of person telling their own story. So like ministries and a home and just kind of getting the so people understood that it's affecting everybody. I did see online, and maybe it was LinkedIn, that there was someone from Geist that actually got to speak directly to Governor Braun, and he said that he runs, I think, a very fancy child care center preschool that is it's a for profit. I mean, but he used his platform to speak for childcare. So as frustrating as that is, that we've been trying to speak and be like, hey, look at us over here. I think that it's good that he was able to speak directly and say, this is still important. This is still affecting everybody. I'm even raising my like, I think that was good because it was like, I don't know, he listened.
Mhm.
I'm not going to say why he listened, but he did.
Because that person lives on Geist. Yeah.
Yes, Pat, I saw that because he's a man. That's what Pat said. She was muted, but we
see
all
that.
heard it.
It's interesting. I did like a thing and over the summer training, and somebody from Hamilton County was there, and they had done the TPMA study, so I was getting his insight into like his experience. His was much better than ours based on the conversation. But it's interesting down there. Parents have to show up really early to childcare because they've oversold seats. So if you don't get there early enough, there's no seat at that childcare for your kid that day. And I'm just like, that is so not our problem up here. Like it's a whole different, so probably raising prices isn't necessarily to cover costs. It's because they can charge more to be more exclusive to ensure seats. Like, can you imagine having to drop your kid off at 6:45 and you don't work until 9 o'clock? Like, what are you doing? But it's just interesting. And it's what, 45 minutes away from here and how different our lives are. So, yeah, I hope Governor Braun listened and took advice. But we really need to start with the legislature. Braun only has so much power when it comes to writing legislation. And I think the redistricting showed his level of power with the legislature. So anyway, I think that's the gist of my fun stuff to share. Again, that is just a projection on my part, reading between the lines on that gap in funding for next year. It was not ever blatantly said, but reading the graph the way I read it, it looks like we've probably exhausted the hold harmless funds this year. And that's where I think there will be that gap. So just how can we better prepare for that in the next biennium? All right. Oh, Teresa's doing super stuff. She was by the door doing a phone call. Now she's covered up the camera. Ooh, economic development is so fun sometimes. Anywho, I think with that, I turn it over to Jerry to talk about the
Thank you, Ashley. I love it when you do those because you've got just such a broader understanding of it than anyone else. And then it pulls in the other people on here who have those backgrounds. So I appreciate you and I appreciate that. Wanted to follow up on something else Ashley said there that ties into our next thing, and that's that TPMA study that we do have on our website. So we have sent out within the last week to most of our counties, which is the transition that TRAC is making. We've made the commitment to leaving each of our counties stronger than we found them. Like we're all stronger together. And one of the ways we can do that is to put some seed funding towards the coalitions in each of our counties. So for each of our counties that completed their inventory, we sent a scope of work for $9,900 because we were recommended to stay under our $10,000 limit. But that will go to the fiscal agent in your county who is supporting your coalition. And what we've put on there is a request for you to look at, to use, to investigate the TPMA study. It's a short timeline of a window, but we feel like we've been teeing you up for this for a while. We did this study so that we can set you up with data, help you be ready to move forward with your county and with your coalition. So the scope of work with your coalition funder basically says that you're going to create an on-track action plan, because I liked the sound of that and it sounded cool. But really what it is looking at the TPMA study, going in, looking at the impact and action plan, and saying, as I look through here, what can we try in our county? So you completed your inventory and said, these are our county's strengths, these are our county's concerns, these are how our coalition is set up or how we'd like it to be set up. And so you already gathered some of your own data. And we've provided some other data about the region. And we've said, go through here. And yes, I know it's 81 pages, but you can jump to your pages through here. Jump to the action plan. Part of it is probably a great spot to start and say what looks like it would work for our coalition and our county. Or maybe there's a promising solution that you like, or maybe you're a data nerd and there's some data in there that just really speaks to you. Jump to whatever section of it is that speaks to you and say, here's how we think this might work for us, or here's how we might use this idea. TriShare worked great up north. It doesn't mean it will or won't work for you, but maybe you want to try the TriShare. And so you would reference that solution and give us a few sentences, a paragraph about how you're going to try and roll that out in your county. We said 5 to 10. I assume everybody will use the one pager as one of their strategies. Here's our one pager. Here's who we're going to share it out to, and here's how we're going to use it. There's some pages referenced on here that might be good places to start. Maybe you want to go back and look back at the TPMA presentation, the video. Maybe there was something in there that was helpful for you. So always go to the resources page on our website as your starting point from that. Go to your inventory. And if you're not the person in your county who was responsible for submitting that, talk to them. They have submitted that, and see what do we want to try for our community. Keep in mind, we are not asking for follow-up reports. We are not asking for if you were successful or not. We're not grading you on this, and we can't hold you liable if you choose a solution that ends up not working or that you end up not following through. This is seed money, and we have to have a scope of work that shows you're going to do something with it. And so to meet our requirements, we're saying, give us 5 to 10 things that were collected that you think might work, a little bit of background on them. Do we hope you use it? Absolutely. Do we hope we find some solutions that work in the region? Absolutely. But don't get hung up on
from Track for Early Learning.
I hit.
That was weird.
That wasn't me. I closed that link. So, so it is a short timeline. We are asking that we have those back by the end of February. And we will tell you that if we get them back sooner, we can get you the money sooner. So I'm going to send out a reminder on Friday of this week that says, we would love to have these back from you by, let me rephrase that. We have to have these back from you by the end of the month. That is a hard and solid deadline. But if we got that from you tomorrow, we would issue your payment tomorrow. So
Let's start that process. Let's not say they're going to get their payment that day.
We will start the process to issue that payment. We've also added some other support for you to do that. Each of our counties is eligible for up to 2 hours of consulting with Jennifer. Some of you are already doing some other consulting with her. Add our up to 2 hours on top of that. She's a little more of an expert on the plan than you are, possibly. So use her expertise, but do your homework on the plan and then talk about what do we know about our county? What do we know about our coalition? What do we want to try in order to move the needle for us? So we have only gotten back one email of people who said, hey, I received this and we're on it. We did ask for an email receipt response that you got that. So if you are anyone except Leanne, who was on the ball and sent it back ASAP, let us know that you've got it, that you're working on it. and any questions that you have. We will try to help you with those. All right. Questions about that scope of work, that on-track action plan? Again, I don't care what it looks like. I just like the name. 5 to 10 strategies that you want to try for your county.
Did the email go to the county coordinators? Is that who it went to?
For the most part, yes.
Okay. I'm not sure. I know Emma knows about this because I know she talked with you about it, but I'm not sure who on our team would have gotten the email because Bree was our county coordinator. So I'll check around and see.
Emma and I started the conversation, and we'll carry it on from there, either between Emma and I or between all of us, so that we can keep that process moving.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's all code for there's no email to find.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood. I thought you said you'd send an email about it.
We'll talk, Missy. We're working on it for you, and we'll make it happen. We'll make it work.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Any others on that? Okay. Jennifer Lee is going to give us some background information on some things and some updates on things. And so I will turn it over to you. You are up next.
You're muted.
Well, it doesn't show she's muted. So that's the weird thing. Now she's okay. Try that.
No sound.
She loves every part of technology this week. She's yelling at us and we can't hear her.
Nope. No.
Now?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So it says host disabled participant screen sharing. Share my screen. Talk. I'm not going to worry about sharing the presentation because I know we are limited on time. One of the things that I have been asked to do is to highlight at least one promising solution from the Impact and Action Plan. And so I chose employer involvement solutions. And so there were 3 tiers listed there. And the first one is tier 1, which is what I'm going to focus on. So I'll come back to that here in a minute. The second tier was the TRISHARE models, which distributes the monthly cost of childcare among 3 parties. An employer.
Jennifer, can you talk a little bit louder? I can barely hear you, please.
Okay, let me see if I can. I feel like I'm yelling. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay. So there were 3 tiers. The first tier I'm going to focus on here in a minute, but the tier 2 is the TRISHARE models, which we're all very, familiar with. It distributes the cost of care between the employee, the employer, and a third party. It reduces out-of-pocket expenses for families. It helps the employers to retain their talent. It supports child care providers. When it works, it's a win. Part of the problem that we've seen over here is just the funding, the third-party funding. Where does that money come from? Northeast Indiana Child Care Coalition, they have successfully implemented a TRISHARE plan. They received money through an economic development grant. And so it's been successful up north. Tier 3 is, on-site child cares. that's better suited for large employers. It's expensive to open a childcare. Even if you're trying to get employers to collaborate together to bring an on-site, it's still a difficult one. But the first one is just getting those resources and support to employers. And there's some practical steps that are relatively low cost for employers, but they can have an impact on the retention, on the morale, productivity of their staff. The first one that was listed was a dependent care flexible spending account. This is similar to a DCAP. These are both employer sponsored. One of the differences is that a dependent care flexible savings spending account is typically funded through employee pre-tax salary reductions, while a DCAP can be funded entirely by the employer or the employee or both. Annual enrollment occurs during the federal benefits open season, which is in November. So this is something that we would be talking to employers about right now, giving them the information on what it is, how they can implement it. But ultimately, this is going to be low work on our end because we're going to be the information person. They need to go to their accountant to get this set up. This is not something that we as a coalition would want to take on.
Hey, Jennifer, can I just add, one of our communities, they're working with an accountant to possibly do like a one-pager on that stuff.
Perfect.
If it comes and I get it and nobody else does, I'll be sure to share.
Okay. One of the things is it is a use it or lose it. So if you don't use those funds within that plan year, you forfeit those. And so that can be a downfall. Brighter Futures Indiana does have a business series that they're starting. Their first session is, I believe, March 4th, and it is on a DCAP. And so this is specifically for employers to get the information on setting those up. The second suggestion was flexible work schedules. And I'm going to pair this with the third one, which was employers partnering with local childcare providers. They're good ideas, but it's two-sided. And so we have to create a collaboration between the employer and the childcare. We can't expect the employer to do it all. And, especially when you think about flexible hours, my experience working with employers and talking with them is they want the childcare providers to change what they're doing to accommodate their needs and vice versa. And that doesn't work. So we need to find a way to pair our employers with our providers, creating a collaborative relationship where they're both benefiting. And that goes the same with, partnering with the local childcare providers, with the whole reserving seats. It has to be two-sided. Some of the tactics that were included in the impact plan that would support this is, one, making sure we're identifying those employers and industries. Sometimes those larger employers get all of the focus when we've got some smaller mid-sized ones that may be able to implement a DCAP plan or do some family support benefits. We have to build those trusting relationships with them, and that takes time. So we can't expect to make a phone call or have a one-time conversation and have them trust us and say, oh yeah, we're going to move forward. Ways that we can connect with these employers: attend the job fairs, partner with your local economic development, find out if there's any human resource groups in your area, follow up with your employers, send an email, make a phone call, introduce yourself, but follow up. Something I did was every couple of months, I was sending just an email, hey, just touching base, is there anything I can help you with? Along with that is knowing your resources. One of the quickest ways for me to make a connection with an employer when I'm talking to them about childcare is being able to say, you know, if you have an employee that needs help finding childcare, this is where they can go. If you have an employee that would qualify for CCDF, how does that employer get that information to their employee? Knowing where to go for parent resources and guidance, having that information readily available, whether it's a flyer or a little, card that you can give them, something that they can have on hand and maybe post on their work boards. The next one is developing an internal child care task force. This would be something short term, but this would be a way to encourage your employers to assess the needs of their employees. They can identify the gaps, they can identify challenges, and determine what's the best solution for them to retain or recruit, future staff. I do have a survey questions. If you need them, please let me know. It was something I've previously used to help
Jennifer, I have some too that I can send to you that we did for our employers across Wayne County,
Perfect.
so.
So do that. Also know your data. Know what your numbers are, know how many providers you have, know what your needs are. If you go in and you don't know what the state of childcare is in your community, it's going to be really hard for you to make that connection. So again, make sure you're looking on the data center on Brighter Futures, utilizing the CCDF subsidy dashboard. Hoosier by the Numbers has some statistics as well. Know what those numbers are. And so talking about data, so in the slide, I had used one of the graphs from the impact and action thing, and I created a social media post. This was something that was requested of me that will be shared out with all of you, bringing those numbers more on a local level. We all know Indiana loses $4.2 billion for lack of childcare, but what about our area? What about our region? Well, that TPMA study shows us that East Central Indiana loses $356 million due to childcare shortages. The study also breaks it down by county. So, using that information, the social media post that you'll be receiving, it does have a place where you can put your logo. So it has my logo, it has TRAC's logo, and then you can add your logo or your contact information, so that, we're putting it out into all of our counties, but people will know who to contact. And then the last thing I just want to bring up is that I did send out an email to the counties with a Calendly link, so you can schedule your 2 hours of consulting time. If you don't find times that are available, just shoot me an email. We'll figure it out, because I did block out some time, but I can do some rearranging. And then lastly, if you see the unlicensed childcare survey, please like it, share it, comment on it. I have gotten a few responses, so I'm pleased. One person says, I'm interested in becoming licensed. I don't know what to do. So there's a follow-up there. That made me really excited. I have another one that's interested in getting some CPR training. And then I have one that is a licensed provider, rather large, well-known licensed childcare provider that filled it out. So there's that. But yeah, it'll be open for another week. So if you see people commenting on it, I know Henry County, it got quite a bit of comments about not sharing information. I think I've got that taken care of, but it is confidential. It's not being shared out with the state or anybody. It's just for me to know what the needs are for our unlicensed childcare providers. But I will send Lucinda, the presentation that I had. She'll get it out to you. And if you have any questions, my contact information is there.
I know that we're short on time, but I also want to reiterate, know your data, make sure it's real and reliable data. The Indiana Hospital Association recently put out a study saying that so many all of the hospitals are struggling Well, a group of employers put out, like, they tried to replicate the data and couldn't. So now it's a he said, she said game. So we feel comfortable with the TPMA study data, and we encourage you to use other data, but please make sure that it's telling the right story. It's not skewed in a different direction, because once you tarnish that part of your relationship with someone, it's going to be difficult for them to trust what you bring to them in the future. So just want you to know there's a real world case. It was like a thing that came out yesterday. So they're looking at ways to say no to things that we want them to say yes to.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. I'm sorry you couldn't share. We'll get that presentation shared out. It made the action plan sound very approachable, right? Like it's 81 pages and overwhelming, but there's just, if you just dive in and pull some bits out of it, I think we can all find some things that work. So
The first 40
appreciate you
pages
doing
are
that.
data. If you don't want to know the journey of how we got to those numbers, go to page 41, and that'll save you half the time.
Well, and thank you again to Ashley and Lucinda, because you went over that with a fine-tooth comb and made sure that data is trustworthy, because it wasn't necessarily, and we don't want to put ourselves in that same position. So, and there are references to where the data came from, right? So if you want more of a little piece, go back and use those references and resources that are linked in there as well. All right, so we're all worked up with
every link should work.
We're all worked up with advocacy, with moving forward, with our coalitions, with data. So Mindy, I'm going to hand it over to you again. How do we take this excitement, this interest level, and do something with it, right? Like it's great in this room, but we got to get it out of this virtual room and into the real world. So I'm going to turn it over to you. We have the ability to make rooms if you want us to do that, but we're going to let you give guidance to the group and to those of us who have to help with the behind the scenes of things as well. Thanks, Mindy. Make sure you unmute before you get too far into what you're saying.
You're right. I do think we will do breakout rooms as well. However, I wanted to piggyback a little bit because Jennifer was talking about different solutions and things. And when I was debriefing with Lucinda and Jerry the other day, I was sharing a little bit about the changes that went into place on January 1 about 45F, which is a federal tax credit that a lot of businesses were not able to take advantage of because it was mostly for large businesses to build childcare centers in the past. However, it's changed a lot. So one of the things that Jerry and Lucinda and I talked about was just doing a draft op-ed that is kind of a sample op-ed that you all could take. And actually, let's open it up that you all could take and even personalize it a little bit more. I used your data from your action plan that you were just talking about. So we've got data here. I'll make sure that you have this link through Jerry and Lucinda. But then I went on and talked about how even our small employers now can get, our small ones can get 50% back as a tax credit. So up to $600,000 back for actually doing things to support their employees around childcare. So, we talked about DCAP. I know we were talking about the Dependent Care FSA, but then also DCAP, where an employer can contribute into that. So they actually could get 50% back on a tax credit on their federal taxes for doing that. If they want someone to help their employees locate childcare and they're going to pay a small percentage of the monthly fees, then they can not only get a tax credit for the fact that they are paying a small percentage of the monthly fees, they can also get a tax credit back for that organization that they contract with it's called an intermediary, to help manage that. So this is really new, January 1. You all are on top of a lot of things, so you may already know about it. But I'm finding across the country, a lot of people don't know about the changes. So I wanted to put a little bit about it in with your data into an op-ed. And as we talked last time, an op-ed, doesn't necessarily have to go out to the newspaper, but you can use it as media bites. You can pull out pieces when you're talking, being interviewed by the radio or being interviewed, for the newspaper instead of actually just sending it in. So I wanted to put this data here. You can even add a little bit of your own county data from your action plan, but I used the 9 region data for it. So I wanted to share that with you. And I jumped to that first because I thought it piggybacked quite a bit on what Jennifer was just talking about. And so I wanted you to know that this is going to be a resource for you as well. So we will get that sent to you. Now let me see if I can. Am I sharing my screen? Were you able to see it? Oh, so it's not going to let me share it either, Jennifer. I'm in the same spot as you. Okay, so let me get.
You could probably send it to Lucinda and she can screen share it.
Okay. Hold on just a second.
Lucinda, is that fair to say? Lucinda's used to us just throwing things on her and she figures it out.
Let's see if I can get it.
I make it work.
You do.
It looks like it's set up that people can share, so I'm not sure why it's not letting people share.
I went ahead and did it for everyone because I didn't know who was sharing, who wasn't. So I just said the whole group could share.
Which meant no one could share.
Right.
Lucinda, what's your email address? I don't have it.
lastip@bsu.edu.
ST
IPP
at
bsu.edu.
So let's see if this sends this to you. Did you get it?
No.
Okay, that's okay. I think we can do this without the slides.
I put my email address in the chat to see if that may be help. Maybe you didn't type it in right.
Okay. I tried to do it from my share function. It doesn't look like it's going, but that's okay because we can do it otherwise. If there is anything that it's flexible in this field. So we will be flexible and I will make sure that you have the slides afterwards as well. Let's see if it will let me add to the chat. So last time we were together, we talked about solutions. So we were talking about doing op-eds and we pivoted because it was clear that you had experience writing op-eds, or many of you did at least. And what we did is we pivoted to determine solutions because Pat's like, I've written multiple op-eds. What we don't have is we don't have that agreement on what our solution is. And so you populated our chat to give us solutions. And then I don't use AI very often, but I used AI to synthesize it, to put it together so that we could kind of blend them together to see how many votes we got because so many of them were similar. So the top 3 were public investment in childcare. That got about 6 votes, and you can see the pieces that went together with that. So the ones that I combined, you can see that. And then employee sponsored childcare or benefits and incentives got 5 votes. So they were right there neck and neck. And Then the last one was childcare as a workforce strategy. That got 4 votes. But then I wanted to pause because a lot has happened in a month. We just had an ELAC meeting. I signed on to hear a lot of kind of the synopsis of what's going on at the State House. I know we're all preparing, or many of us are preparing to go tomorrow. And I wanted to just pause and say, what additional thoughts have you had about solutions that it would be great for us to get behind that you think would work well in your community? Are there any additional pieces, or do they fall broadly into these 3 categories?
Oops. Okay, I keep thinking a lot about the missing voice in all of this, and that's parents. And how can we capture the angst and the voice of parents to be, when you start with your op-ed, you use the word hook. I use a motivated sequence outline, which is basically the same thing, but it's how do you get people's attention? Well, you get their attention by a story, and then data points back up that story. But I think parents and workers, like last week, the number of parents who, our church has a child care, and they had to close for 2 days because none of the staff could get there. Well, parents had all this angst. And so while that's maybe not a solution, it is an introduction to other solutions. All of this other stuff is very important, but it doesn't capture any emotion.
It's that personal story. It's that something, and especially if it's a story about someone in your community, an experience that they've had.
We just heard Jerry's story. She wants to go tomorrow, but her grandson's teachers are too. So, I mean, that's a very personal decision she has to make. So I don't know quite how to, well, if I had a microphone, I probably could, but no. I mean, but seriously,
right.
We all need to find a personal story that we can then introduce all this other stuff with.
These solutions. So it ties it back to that reality of, what's the impact? Here in Marion County, the Wise childcares are getting ready to close. And, that real life thing, this isn't the parent voice, however, that's out there. I know it is. But the real life thing, my church also has a childcare. As soon as they announced it, 5 teachers called wanting to know if, they had any teaching openings, because that's their livelihood, and those types of real stories. Another real story, I was talking to another childcare provider since the CCDF cuts. This is nothing new to you, but they're losing $30,000 a month because of it. And it's like, how do we stay open? And this was a ministry. How do we stay open? How do we, we're going to start putting children back on vouchers in 2027 sometime, perhaps. How do we even have enough childcare out there for families if our childcare programs can't stay open? So you're right, Pat. I do think it's those stories. It's that family voice, which is critical. That's why we're all here, those children and those families. And then we're all also here to support our early childhood educators too. And many of you are, you're running programs or you're closely associated with programs. And it's not a pretty sight at the moment.
Well, and I think you're both so right on that, because those are constituents. Those are people that are going to vote them in. And when they know that the majority of everybody collectively feels this way, oh, wait, yes, I feel this way now. I think
Right.
that's kind of the goal is, so they see that. And I know when I handed now Senators Day, I don't know what the appropriate word is, dipped out. He is no longer there. But when he came to visit, we handed him a stack of papers that thick to show him what parents felt about their preschool, I mean, what it meant to them. And it wasn't just the learning, because unfortunately, that was not as impactful as I cannot function. I'm going to vote for somebody. Like there was some people that really gave it to them because I said, you know, write what you would want to say to a legislator. So they were I'm not going to vote for someone who doesn't agree with this. I mean, they just flat said it. But
Mhm.
I mean, in a respectful way, but in a real way,
Sure.
that's
Yeah.
how they really felt.
Absolutely. And I think when you bring that reality to them, when they can actually experience it, it opens their mind. I go back to, I was blessed enough to be able to go often to the Hill in my career in DC. And we went to the same office because they were my representative every time. And usually got a polite, but a kind of a go away type thing. Then all of a sudden, one year, I went in and it was so open. They had an employee that was struggling with childcare right then, and it became so obvious to them that this was a problem all of a sudden. When I had gone for multiple years, and they are like, yeah, 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 you're a nice person. Here's the door type thing. And then all of a sudden, it was reality because it became real to them. So yeah. So sharing that personal story, getting that hook, drawing them in, getting the data, it's all so important. And I think you can use that piece of it for any of the solutions that feel right for your community. And I think you really need to, because you want the data, but you also want the heartstrings, and you're talking to multiple people. Some people are going to be, give me all the data, give me all the data, and others are not. So it's really talking to multiple audiences at once especially when you're working with the media. So what we thought we would do is we wanted to break into groups, and I know we're a fairly small group now, but we wanted to break into groups and just record your thoughts around this. Pat said a minute ago, give me a mic and I can tell you, but sometimes getting it written down is a challenge. Um, so we thought if we recorded your thoughts and then had me look at those, listen to them, and then put it with your data that you've all collected together and give you back some just media snippets, media bites that you can use. Either, if you are writing an op-ed or if you are doing an interview, because you've got a lot of local reporters and you've got a lot of relationships with local reporters. I know last month, um, I think it was Pat, it might have been someone else, was getting ready to talk to a reporter. So just having those bites already at your fingertips so that you don't have to do the research and you've already done the thinking. And you can add to it. And you just heard a story, yesterday before the interview. You can put that in there. But if you have some specifics that you can add, that's our hope, that it can be a help to you as you go to work with the media. I'm not sure we're going to break into 3 because of our smaller numbers. I do think we can do 2. You can look at A and B since they've got the most votes. And when you go into your group, start off with those stories that you've heard. Start off with kind of analyzing the problem. There's multiple components of the problem, but analyzing those stories and why you feel passionate about the solution, why others should feel passionate about the solution. If you've got the data at your fingertips, talk about the data as well. If not, I'll look at the action guide and then, maybe a couple of other replicable sources to put some data in there with you. And what we'll send you back is just some bites on each one of those. So even if you're not in B, the group B, you'll still get that information. So we'll do that. It's 2:35, so maybe we'll break out about 12 minutes or so. Jerry and Lucinda, can you make it to where you've got a group A breakout room and a group B, and they can choose which one they want to go into? Or do you need to assign them?
Lucinda's double checking that right now. I think she's getting it set up. She's muted, so she'll unmute if she's going to tell us anything, but we'll assume A is if
A is
I
going to
don't know
be
if you
that
call
public
A or
investment in
1.
childcare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll go in different rooms and we'll record what's in each of the rooms so that we can share those back to the whole group.
Yep. And I'll
Okay, rooms are open, so you can choose what rooms you want.
Okay, so A is public investment in childcare, and B is employer-sponsored childcare. So if you jump into those rooms, we'll record them.
Can you see the rooms?
Go down to the bottom. It says join breakout room. If you click on that, then
Which
you'll
one
get
are
an
you going to,
option.
Jerry?
I'll go into B.
Okay.
Where do you guys want me?
You can choose whatever you want.
Pat, which one are you going in?
That looks
That's
frozen.
frozen.
I think she's frozen.
She's either frozen or she moved to a different room. Looks like Pat's moving to A.
She go in A, Ash?
It looks under her name's under A.
Okay, then I'll go in B.
Leah, do you need help? Do you want to go to A or B? Just one finger for A and 2 fingers for B. You're muted, so I see you're talking and I can't help it. You're probably talking yourself through it. Oh, you're going to A. I was okay.
Leanne, it's good to see you.
Nice to see you too. I was so excited when I saw that you were going to be. I had to miss the last one, and I was so excited that you're going to be on here.
I know. I need to come your direction so we can have coffee.
Yeah, it's been a while, hadn't it?
It sure has.
We lose Pat?
I think we might have lost half of the group.
Are we all back together?
Um, we're supposed to be. The breakout rooms are closed.
Oh, it says it will close in 21 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Teresa froze on a phone call. It was funny.
Excellent. Well, welcome back, everyone. I hope you had productive conversations. And, even if they were a little bit here and there, in the room that I was in, I picked up several key pieces that I think we'll be able to share out with all of you. Just a quick summary of room A. It revolved around how do we define public? We immediately think about, federal or state government, maybe local government, but how do we define public? And we had a really rich conversation about the community being public as well. So that's kind of a synopsis of that group. Is there somebody who might be able to give a really quick synopsis of your employer conversation?
Jerry took great notes, I think, so we'll lean into her.
Meaning she hit the record button. Oh, wait, she didn't even do that. No, we had some good discussion about how do we make sure that we know our stuff, we're prepared, that if we're asking an employer to support childcare, that we're showing them models that have worked for other companies similar to them, and that it's really about the relationship. You can't just knock on the door and go, hey, will you support childcare? It has to come through relationships or through trusted entities like your economic development or your chamber. Mm-hmm. So we've got them recorded, but there were some great snippets in there too that I hope are actionable.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I want to thank you all so much. I know that there's probably some additional wrap up that needs to happen after me, but what I'm going to do is make sure that you get that op-ed that I wrote about the 45F. If anybody wants, to talk more about 45F, happy to always chit chat.
Are you an expert on 45F? Just curious.
I'm becoming more knowledgeable about 45F. I've got to do several presentations through some consulting work that I do. And one of my clients is based out of DC and has spent a lot of time with the Treasury Department around 45F. And so I am learning much, much more. So it's, one piece that can help, but I do think it's a piece that because it was revamped in January 1, and because the Treasury Department hasn't even put out all of the pieces about it yet, they plan to next month. I have been brought along as all of this is there. So I've got quite a bit of knowledge and have done some presentations on it now for my other client. So happy to chit chat about it.
Do you have a one-pager you could share with the group?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, I'm
like
thinking
a quick little overview video that we can post and people can watch.
No, I wanted to put in my BRNE packet.
Once
again, if I'm talking to them about childcare, oh, look, and you can get some tax help too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see what I can pull together for you and we can get that out. And like I said, I did put some brief information in that op-ed so that you have some initial thoughts on it as well with your data. So I'll get that out. I'll listen to these recordings. I'll pull out some snippets and I'm going to try to pair it with some of the data that you have and get that all out to you as well. But I just wanted to thank you all for these last couple of months and getting to work with everyone. So.
Well,
Thank you.
Mindy, thank you for helping to educate us so that then we can go out and educate those in our sphere. Looking forward to what comes, and then we'll find some kind of cool contest or check-in or something to get to see how many people we can get to share and get these out, because everybody likes a good motivator. So we'll try and use some of those kind of things.
Perfect.
Thank you, Mindy. Thank you, everyone, for your time today. We will look for each other in Indy tomorrow. Ashley, I'm allowed to wear my track shirt tomorrow.
Yes,
Okay.
just have
I'll
a
have my
sweater,
track
have
shirt
like a
on, so
jacket
I'll look
on
for
in
you.
case you talk to people.
It doesn't
I'm
say
going to
birthday.
look for everyone I can talk to.
Jennifer, I have a question for you, so don't sign off until the end.
Okay. All right. But thank you all for your time. Good seeing you all. And we'll talk soon.
Awesome.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye.
Mindy, did she?
Mindy, she was gone. You're so quiet, Jennifer. My
I don't
question
know
has to,
what is wrong with my computer.
I don't know, but it's doing something. Something occurred to me when I was
Can
watching.
we hit the stop record at this point?
Probably did. I mean, it was fine when I was